Salman Al-Ansari. On that score, Donald Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia, you heard the criticism there. Was it about doing deals, or was it really about going beyond just rhetoric when it comes to fighting terror, for instance?
Great. I think definitely the Trump's visit to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has an unprecedented strategic importance, not only to the region, but to the whole world when it comes to global security, when it comes to combating terrorism. And the thing is going on right now in Riyadh and in Saudi Arabia is the fact that Saudi has reactivated its stance as having like the capital, Riyadh, to be the capital of the Arab and Muslim nations and to be the capital of the efforts on combating terrorism, and at the same time the capital of economic transformations and development in the region. So there are a lot going on in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia with Vision 2030 is moving towards a very fast, pragmatic kind of steps to diversify its economy, to make a lot of opportunities for the Saudi youth. We are having more than 70% of the Saudi population under the age of 30. So we are speaking of a very basically progressive leadership in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, specifically Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who has been always regarded as a very pragmatic personality. And I think Trump saw that there is a very big potential for the Saudi-US relationship to basically solve the issues in the region and to combat terrorism by all means, specifically the terrorism that has been supported by the Iranian regime, which is very brutal, which is very dangerous, not only to the region, but to the whole world. So I think the Trump's visit to the kingdom has a lot to speak about. It's very strategic. It gets Saudi Arabia to be the main conduit to the Arab and Muslim world. So basically,
but Salman, let me just ask you, because we talk about terrorism, but it just seems a bit vague. Here in France, those who've carried out terror attacks, they're not Iranian-backed. The backing came from hardline Sunni groups, and so the idea of that it's the terrorists on one side and those who are working for peace on the other, isn't that a bit simplistic?
Not at all. Let me tell you something, and thank you so much for highlighting this. Basically, when it comes to terrorism, there is no such thing as Sunni terrorism and Shia terrorism. Terrorism should always be defined as terrorism, as I always say.
Agreed.
And when it comes to Iran, I'm getting there. When it comes to Iran involvement, let's speak about the facts. The fact says that the Treasury Department of the United States has, in multiple times, said in reports that Iran is sponsoring Al-Qaeda operatives within Iran and giving them logistic support, etc. Let's look at what Osama bin Laden himself said, that he was actually giving a message to his followers in Al-Qaeda that they should never be attacking Iran because Iran is the logistic hub for supporting and sponsoring their activities. And this has been released by the CIA. So let's speak about another fact. Iran has never been touched or threatened by any terrorist group, neither Al-Qaeda nor ISIS, where when it comes to Saudi Arabia has been attacked 30 times, 30 times just last year by ISIS. So let's not get into the simple idea that, okay, these are Sunni groups, the militias that did, or like the lone wolves that did terrorist attacks and horrendous attacks in in the Western world or here or there, that they are Sunnis. That means that they are not affiliated to Iran. Not at all.